I hope you are ready to have a good night, and I hope you've had a great day today. And there's a lot to talk about. So if you are tuning in and you're new here, get ready because I can promise you it's going to be a great episode. And let me know, where are you watching from? By the way, also something else you can do, hit the like button on the video. That shoots us out into the YouTube algorithm, and that's really important. We got a lot to talk about, so that's really important. The internet where I'm at is not super stable. It's really fast, but it's not super stable, so I'm praying that we have a great stream. Real Talk with Retta, hello from St. Louis. Anita says, hi Tyler, great shirt. You like it? It's a festive Florida shirt. I'm coming to you from Miami, Florida. Campbellford, Canada. Florida here. Hot Springs, Arkansas. Massachusetts. Jennifer Rochelle. By the way, tomorrow is Jennifer's birthday. Not only is she one of our mods around here, but tomorrow is her birthday. So make sure you tell her happy birthday. Hey from San Diego, Las Vegas, Nevada, Illinois, Colorado, North Carolina, Illinois, South Carolina, California, West Texas, Florida, California, St. Charles, Illinois. Great to have all of you guys join in. We got Brooklyn Park, Minnesota. Great to have you. South Australia in the house. Wonderful. That shirt, so Florida. Avery says, thank you. I am feeling the Florida mood today. By the way, if you guys haven't done so, please like the video. That's a small thing to do. It's free and it's a small thing to do. But when you do it, it makes a big difference for this channel. It's one of the best ways that you can help the channel. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel because there's something really powerful about a subscription to a channel. It's actually a really big deal. Carol's watching from Virginia, Quebec, Canada. Grandma Patty says, where's my book? Sorry, those of you that ordered the book from my website, I'm so sorry. It's looking like probably the first week of December until you get it. So please hold tight. I appreciate your patience. It's not my fault. I promise it's not my fault. We've ordered the books. It's just taking forever for them to get out because they use a different publisher, like distributor than Amazon does. So I'm so sorry about that, Grandma Patty. But I like your profile picture of the Don't Stop book. All right. Minnesota, West Virginia, Kansas City, Missouri, Kansas City. Honeybee says, delivery is taking so long. I'm so sorry about that. I really am sorry. Some of you are getting your books already. Janet says she got her book today. I got an email from Martha that says, your book is available to ship on Amazon. I know it's able to ship on Amazon. Those of you who ordered from my website, for some reason that takes longer. Amazon's got it figured out, I guess. They know what they got to do to get things out. Great to see you guys today. I sent the link out too to all of our members. Hopefully we have a good stream tonight as far as people engaged, people supporting each other, people talking about what's going on. Hope it's good for everybody. South Jersey in the house. So obviously the big news we want to talk about right off the get-go is Noah Clare. And, you know, praise the Lord. He was found. It's what we were hoping for, praying for, believing for. And that happened today. So let's check out it's just a short story. Let's check it out.
The search for a missing 3-year-old boy and his 16-year-old cousin has come to an end. They were found on a California beach. The boy's father, Jake Clare, now faces charges.
News Channel 5's Kyle Horan has been following this from the beginning. Kyle, how did they find the trio?
Well, guys, it was because of a quick-thinking person who lives in California who saw that there was a search on social media. So she contacted law enforcement. Here's a picture of immediately after the two kids, Noah and Amber Clare, were found. Noah was taken from Gallatin for a scheduled visit with his dad, Jake, on November 5th, but he was never brought home. Amber was taken from her home in Beaver Dam, Kentucky. A nationwide search for the kids ended at around 8:50 this morning. A woman who was driving her own child to school saw the trio walking at Doheny State Beach. She thought they looked like the pictures she had seen on social media. She dropped her child off at school and turned around and went back. She took this picture not this picture. There's a picture that she took and called police. Then just about 10 to 15 minutes later, California law enforcement took Jake into custody without a fight. Julia Bonin is her name. That's her right there. She says she almost didn't make that call.
This feeling just didn't go away. It was very much instinctual and very much a gut feeling that it stayed with me. I tried to leave a couple times even after I reported it, and it just, my stomach, the pit in my stomach was just there.
The Orange County Sheriff praised her decision today. Both Noah and Amber are safe and unhurt. Their families are headed to California, and I'm told they will be reunited tonight. Jake will likely face kidnapping charges in both Tennessee and Kentucky, but California police are also doing their own investigation, and there could be additional charges.
So can you guys see that picture there? Looks like they found him. He was safe. That's a great thing. They found him and he was safe. That is a great thing. And so appreciate those of you guys who shared the flyer or shared the missing persons poster of that. That meant a lot, and good news coming from that story. I love it when there's good news. Some more news on the Travis Scott situation. Travis Scott and Drake were hit today with a $2 billion Astroworld lawsuit. The Travis Scott, Drake, Apple Music, Live Nation, and Energy Stadium were hit with a $2 billion lawsuit representing 300 alleged victims in the tragedy that took place at Astroworld 2 weeks ago. This is the largest out of over 100 lawsuits filed of the mass casualty that has left 10 dead and hundreds injured. The lawsuit, announced Thursday by attorney Thomas J. Hendry, was filed at Harrison County, Texas. It's an amendment to a previous suit and now represents 282 victims from the concert. Scott and other defendants named in the suit chose to cut corners, cut costs, and put attendees at risk, Henry claimed. I agree with that. An additional 120 victims are seeking representation from this firm related to the crowd surge, according to a press conference from Henry. On Tuesday, a $750 million lawsuit was filed by another lawyer against Scott, Drake, Live Nation, and Apple Music, claiming senseless gross negligence. Scott's lawyers and the Houston Police Department have both claimed that they did not have the authority to stop the concert. The police don't have authority to stop a concert, and instead have pointed the blame for the show continuing at each other. Live Nation, which promoted the festival, has said the company will continue to participate. It goes so fast. Continue to participate in the police department's investigation, and will address legal matters at the appropriate time. Drake performed at the concert alongside Scott. Scott has pledged to pay for the funerals of those who died at the concert. Is that enough? Is this enough? By the way, Christy, thank you so much for upgrading to producer. We're going to be having a producer level and up stream again very soon. And I'm trying to work out the details around how do we navigate that with Thanksgiving and all of that. And so I would love anybody's feedback. But I don't know how people celebrate. But usually we do those on Saturdays. So the Saturday after Thanksgiving is what I'm thinking of doing another producer level and up stream. So let me know if you guys are producer level and up, if that time feels like it may work for you. But we already have Eleni saying that ain't enough. Kathy's saying that's not enough. Lori's saying that was nice, but not enough. No, not enough. Now, don't you think it would have been a different situation if directly after the concert, if Travis Scott was there, was heartbroken, took to Instagram, kind of like he did, tears coming down his face, and saying, I am brokenhearted. I had no idea this was happening at my concert. I'm immediately available for any of the victims. Whatever I can do for anybody, and I am so sorry. Wouldn't that have changed the whole tone of all of this? Probably. The lawsuit was originally $750 million. This one's $2 billion. I don't think it's enough to just pay for the funerals. Lori says, yeah, and the video that he did post didn't sound sincere to me. That's kind of what I'm saying. It didn't sound very sincere to me either. That's part of my issue. It's like I don't think it was a very sincere video. Vivian says, I don't think it would change the tone no matter what he did. Well, that's partly true in the sense that from my perspective, there was a lot of really evil things happening. And if there were evil things happening, then, you know, we still got to take that into majorly account. But like Ashley's saying, he took their lives. He should pay for the funerals and the parents for the rest of their lives and prison. If he made an honest apology and was really hurt, I think it'd be enough. Yeah, I don't know if... Obviously, Travis Scott doesn't have $2 billion, but Apple does. Apple has trillions. And they're suing Apple because wasn't it an Apple Music event? So it's what something will probably be settled out of court. We'll never know what happened. People are not going to be allowed to talk about it. I don't think it will go to trial. You go down the list. It's unfortunate, but it's what happens in these things. It's why part of the system's broken, you know? Like, it's heartbreaking to me. It's like some of the system's broken because the things that need to be talked about get skirted under the rug. And sometimes things need to go to jury trial and they're not able to.
On November 5th,
Here's people chanting, "Stop the show, stop the show."
2021, chaos erupted in the crowd at what should have been a normal concert, as an estimated 50,000 people gathered at Travis Scott's Astroworld Music Festival. As the event progressed and panic ensued, the crowd surged and many concertgoers trampled others, ultimately leaving at least 10 people dead and hundreds more injured. The tragedy left many questioning how the concert continued for so long, turning it into one of the most deadly concerts in U.S. history. And while details are still unfolding, ABC News gathered videos and documents from that night to piece together what we know so far.
Tracking the Astroworld tragedy. Let's see what they say about this.
People began lining up early that morning, and by the afternoon, concertgoers began rushing past security checkpoints and into the venue. An activity log from the Houston Fire Department noted trouble throughout the day, including 54 patients being treated by medical staff before 4 p.m., and dangerous crowd conditions throughout the afternoon. Ahead of the main event, a countdown to Scott's performance began, as seen in the Apple livestream. The already packed crowd pushed toward the stage. Event mapping from Astroworld production plan shows that there were 2 stages for the festival. This day had a full lineup of performers on the second stage, and Scott as the only act on the main stage. Houston Fire Chief Samuel Pena later commented on the setup.
One of the things that we consider is to ensure that the crowds are subdivided.
That guy looked tired to me.
However, according to an Instagram post from
Does he look tired to you?
Astroworld, the schedule showed that at the time of Scott's performance, the crowd was not meant to be divided, as there were no performances on the second stage scheduled at that time.
And were there any other instances in any of the other, like, did anybody get hurt at any of the other concerts that took place during that time? Joni, thank you for that super chat. Appreciate having you here with us tonight. Thank you for your support. But was anybody else hurt at these other?
This meant all 50,000 fans had the opportunity to assemble at the main stage in time for Scott. At 9:02, Scott started the show. Minutes after Scott took the stage, the crowd was already surging and concertgoers were fighting to stay on their feet, just in front of the stage. Less than 10 minutes into the show, there were groups of concertgoers in distress throughout the crowd.
Renee says this, him saying he didn't know all of the police there, the fire apparatus and the people, and he didn't notice something different. I'm not buying it. Thank you, Renee, for that super chat. I'm sort of in the same boat. Like, how is it possible? How is it possible that he wouldn't have known something? You know, like I have a hard time understanding this. Thank you for the super chat.
One person even attempted to call 911 amid cries for help. At 9:25, the Apple live stream showed Scott stopping the show for the first time to draw attention to someone in the crowd who needed help.
Make sure he's good. Elijah, you walk with him. Take him.
He would stop the show 2 more times in response to the chaos in the crowd.
So he did stop and ask if people were good. They were okay. He said, make sure he good.
Minutes later, further back in the crowd, medical staff responded to someone lying unresponsive in front of a reserve section. A half hour after taking the stage, Scott paused the show for a second time as an ambulance drove through the crowd. Minutes later, Sienna Faith McCarty climbed onto a camera platform asking a cameraman to help as the chaos in the crowd escalated. At 9:38, Houston PD and firefighters responded to a mass casualty event at the Astro World Festival, where people were being crushed against the stage and many had already collapsed.
We need somebody to help him. Somebody pass out right here.
At 9:42, Scott stopped the show for a third time to draw attention to someone in the crowd who needed help, according to the Apple live stream.
Security, somebody help jump in real quick. Keep going.
Security personnel arrived to lift a limp body from the crowd. And then another. Security were then seen urgently talking with each other in Houston PD. Here, an ambulance was seen in the crowd, unable to move while...
Is there somebody dancing on top of that ambulance? Is that somebody dancing on top of the ambulance? I'm lost in my mind.
While a man danced on top. The event plan showed that only 2 people had the authority to stop.
How come security doesn't stop somebody from dancing on top of an ambulance? Like, that's acceptable in our culture? My gosh.
The show, the executive producer, and the festival director. Police officials later told the Houston Chronicle that the promoter Live Nation agreed to cut the show short, but Scott continued his set. Scott's attorney told ABC News that Scott didn't know what was happening in the crowd during the time of the concert. And at 10:12, the Apple stream showed Travis Scott finishing the show and leaving the stage.
Everybody, I love y'all. Make it home safe. Good night.
As victims continued to be carried away. After the festival ended, questions arose about why the show wasn't shut down immediately after it turned deadly, and who should be held responsible for the tragedy. Mayor Turner later addressed the criticism that the show should have ended earlier than it did.
You want to be very careful even on when you stop things, when you've got 50,000 people that are there. So if you just stop something abruptly, you don't want to make the situation worse.
Houston Police Chief Troy Finner later released a statement on Twitter saying that he met with Travis Scott and his head of security prior to the main event.
So the mayor was saying we couldn't stop the concert because it would have made it worse? Is that what he said? No, we couldn't stop the concert. It would have made it worse? That's what the mayor said?
And expressed concerns regarding public safety. The medical plan for the festival showed that there would be a main tent with 22 medical personnel, including 2 ER physicians, auxiliary tents with additional medical staff, and 5 ambulances. More than 30 lawsuits have since stacked up against Scott, the concert producers, and the venue. Scott was previously arrested in 2015 and 2017 for inciting crowds and encouraging fans to overrun security. He pled guilty to disorderly conduct in both instances. Scott announced that he will cover all funeral costs for the victims, additional counseling costs, and refund all tickets to the festival. He also tweeted that Houston PD has my total support as they continue to look into the tragic loss of life and is cooperating with investigators. Houston police said an investigation into the event is active and in its early stages.
Well, that's just crazy. So he stopped a couple of times. It's like he did know, right? He stopped a couple of times and was like, make sure that person's all right. Kim says, I think this goes hand in hand with the witnesses saying that it seemed like people were crazy, almost trance-like. I still can't get over the dude dancing on top of the ambulance like that. It's like they're coming in because somebody's dying with an ambulance, and some guy gets up on top of it and is dancing. What in the... That person should be in trouble, honestly. They need to call that person in. Probably against the law, right? To dance on top of an ambulance? I mean, they probably don't have a specific law that says no dancing on an ambulance, but I would say, wouldn't you think that there's some type of a law about that kind of a thing? Dancing on top of an ambulance. My gosh. They had 2 doctors there. I don't even know, guys. This is just out of control. We need to pray for this whole situation. And like I said yesterday, I'm not someone who's a cancel culture kind of a guy. That's not my MO ever. That's not like my thing that I like to do. But the fact that somehow this particular individual has made his way into popular culture in such a way that it impacts so many children, that's where it's at for me. It's like when it impacts our children in the way that I know his life does impact the children, for me, that's a big deal. And I'm not cancel culture by any means ever on anybody. But in this particular situation, I lean a lot more towards that than I have anybody else, probably because I feel so upset that there are children that have been influenced by this man. By the way, Lone Seagull, welcome to the Feller fam. Great to have you. Lone Seagull. I think if we get like 12 more people, hopefully tonight, if we can get like 12 more people to join the Feller fam, I believe we'll get a new emoji. So I'm hoping we can get 12 people tonight to join the Feller fam. We'll see. I know that feels ambitious, but you know what? I'm an ambitious kind of a guy in an ambitious kind of a mood. So I'm hoping for 12 people to join the Feller fam today. Kenny says, with great power comes great responsibility. I couldn't agree with that more. When you've been given influence, you need to steward it well, without a shadow of a doubt. There's no question about that. I agree with Linda saying this is appalling. It all could have been prevented. Very sad to watch. It's heartbreaking to watch. It's unbelievably heartbreaking to watch. And children don't need to be influenced by this. It's totally wrong. On to the next issue of the day. Rittenhouse judge bans MSNBC from the courthouse after a staffer allegedly follows the jury bus. And by the way, if you haven't voted yet in the poll, I asked this question in the poll. Was the judge right to kick out MSNBC? What do you think? Joni, welcome to the Feller fam. Joni Sargent joining the Feller fam today. Thank you, Joni, for joining the Feller fam. Answer that poll question if you guys haven't already. Was the judge right to kick out MSNBC? And if you don't know what the story is, I'm going to tell it to you in just a second. Another thing you can do if you haven't done so already, please hit the like button on the video. Shoots us into the YouTube algorithm. And I promise you, that's a place where we want to be. Tonight, at least. Okay. Rittenhouse judge bans MSNBC. The judge overseeing the Kyle Rittenhouse homicide trial barred MSNBC staff on Thursday from entering the courthouse in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Margaret, how are you? Thank you for joining the Feller fam today. It is amazing to have you as a part of the Feller fam, and we are so glad you're with us. So the MSNBC was barred after a person affiliated with the network was pulled over by police near a jury van, an incident NBC says it regrets. I would say. Judge Bruce Schroeder said the police pulled over a man claiming to be an NBC or MSNBC producer for running a red light Wednesday evening. And the man told officers that he was assigned to follow a bus transporting jurors between court and a separate location. This is a very serious matter, and I don't know what the ultimate truth of it is, but it would go without much thinking that someone who is following a jury bus, that is an extremely serious matter. Schroeder said the issue is still under investigation, but he has banned MSNBC from entering the courtroom for the rest of the trial. NBC News confirmed to Forbes a freelancer was given a traffic citation near the jury van, but the person never contacted or intended to contact the jurors during deliberations and never photographed or intended to photograph them. A network spokesperson did not immediately respond when asked whether its freelancer was asked to follow the bus or planned to contact jurors after deliberations ended. The Kenosha Police Department tweeted it gave traffic citations to a person who claimed to work at the news outlet, and officers believed he was attempting to photograph jurors. There was no breach of security regarding the jury. Yolanda, welcome to the Feller fam. Great to have you with us. Maybe we will get 12 tonight. You guys are amazing. I love it. I love when we have people join the Feller fam. I promise you we're a great group of people, and we stick together pretty close. We've cultivated a lot of great relationships with one another. It so much extends beyond just a YouTube stream that we do here. It really is a growing community of people who are passionate about several of the same things. Okay. Kim Brooks says there's a frequency a lot of rap is now using that causes cellular dissonance. While I'm religious, this is also scientific. If you've not seen Water Experiments by Dr. Michio Kaku, check it out. I will definitely check that out. Thank you, Kim, for that super chat. That ringing is beyond annoying. Can you hear that, Tyler? I can't hear it. So is it on that video? I'll mute that video or whatever. Is that what it was coming from? Is it coming from my room that I'm in? Is it coming from my microphone, or was it from that? Can't hear with the phone going off. It wasn't a phone going off. I think it was the music behind the video. Sorry about that, guys. I didn't realize how loud it was. I can't hear it. Okay, well, essentially, in case you missed it, this MSNBC journalist was pulled over sort of like behind the juror bus, and obviously he shouldn't be doing that. And so NBC came out with a statement, was like, he never had intentions to take pictures of a juror, like a jury trial, but it definitely sounded like that's what was happening to me. So what do you guys think? You think it's okay that happened? So I don't think it's okay. I think the judge did the right thing. All right. Here's sort of the next thing. I'm going to ask a new question about this. Do you think it'll be a hung jury? Asking my community. It's the third day of deliberations, and it ends without a verdict in the Rittenhouse trial. After a third full day of deliberations, the jury in the criminal trial of Kyle Rittenhouse The 18-year-old who fatally shot 2 men last year during unrest in Kenosha has again broken for the night without reaching a verdict. The panel of 12 jurors have deliberated for roughly 23 hours since Tuesday morning in an attempt to reach a unanimous verdict on the 5 counts facing Rittenhouse. If convicted on the most serious charge, first-degree intentional homicide, Rittenhouse will be sentenced to life in prison. Jurors must evaluate whether Rittenhouse's fear for his life was a legitimate and reasonable fear, and if so, whether his use of deadly force was reasonable or whether he acted recklessly when he shot his AR-15 rifle that night, killing Joseph Rosenbaum, 36, and Anthony Huber, 26, and wounded Gage Grosskreutz, age 26. Experts said that a long deliberation time is not necessarily a surprise in this case. He's facing 5 felony counts, 4 of which are different charges. There's so many layers involved here. I am not surprised it's taking so long, according to Angela Jones, an assistant professor of criminology at TSU. Complex jury instructions can add deliberation time, she said. Judge Bruce Schroeder took more than an hour to read aloud the 36 pages of jury instructions, which are filled with ambiguous terms like reasonable belief and utter regard for human life that are crucial to jurors' evaluation of the case. And on Thursday, a juror asked the judge if she could take the instructions home. Even if you have a college degree, if you're not a lawyer, you just don't understand the legal jargon that's being used. If jurors have different views on what is reasonable, that is where they can get hung up on coming up with a unanimous decision. 2 mistrial requests also loom. Rittenhouse lawyers on Wednesday called for a mistrial over the drone video. They said that prosecutors who obtained the full quality drone video halfway through the trial sent a compressed version of the video to defense lawyers, meaning they did not have access to the HD version until after the testimony closed. We would have done this case in a little bit different manner, said the defense attorney. Prosecutors acknowledged the mistake but said it was inadvertent and urged the judge to reject the motion. The jury saw the high-quality version during closing arguments and deliberations on Wednesday. It was the defense team's second mistrial motion of the trial following a motion filed after lead prosecutor Thomas cross-examination of Rittenhouse, during which Judge Bruce Schroeder admonished Binger for encroaching on Rittenhouse's right to remain silencia. Andrew Martinez, a defense attorney based in Baraboo, Wisconsin, who's not involved in the case, said it is unusual for defense lawyers to file a second mistrial motion before the judge rules on the first. So, a lot going on in this case today, guys. 3 days of deliberations. They can't seem to get squared away on what may happen. They're unable to reach a verdict. There's a lot going on here. Kyle Rittenhouse, from a mistrial to hung jury, what are the possible outcomes? That's sort of like, you know, what we're all thinking. If in this video, what they're doing is there's 18 juries and 12 of them get to participate. And so they're drawing literally, I don't know why. Is he the one that has to do it? That's crazy. He's drawing out the 12 names of the people that are going to do that. That's wild. Over 2 weeks, jurors in the homicide trial of Kyle Rittenhouse watched more than 12 videos, including live streams, body camera, FBI video about what happened. He faces 5 felonies. We already know that. The first day of deliberations, jurors met for 8 hours. If the jurors cannot reach unanimous decisions on one or more of the counts, Judge Schroeder can declare a mistrial. In the event of a so-called hung jury, that's what a lot of people are asking about today. Is it going to be a hung jury? In the case of a hung jury, prosecutors can decide whether or not to drop the charges or proceed on with a new case. The judge and the court clerk will make an announcement when the jurors reach a verdict, which will then be read aloud in the courtroom. Judge Schroeder suggested the court will make that announcement roughly 1 hour before it will be read in court. Wisconsin jury instructions encourage free and full exchange of opinions and informations. Once in the jury room, jurors met for more than 8 hours. Wow. A lot of meeting time. So, Only after the judge has discharged jurors are they allowed to discuss the case with others, and there's no obligation to reveal their vote or discussions about the case with other jurors. So, what do you guys think? What's going to happen? How are you feeling about this? Bree says, I don't think the judge will call a mistrial. This is one case where it's probably better to be overturned on appeal if the defendant does not like what he gets. Okay. Interesting. I'm not sure, personally. Robin says jury intimidation is real in this case. Kimberly ordered your book off of Amazon today. Going to get it on Saturday. Thank you, Kimberly, for doing that. Thank you for purchasing the book. Rachel says, not guilty. It was self-defense. I heard the judge was siding with the left side. I don't know what the left side or the right side is. I don't want to talk about politics if that's a political statement. No siree, Bob. Not on this channel. We're not going to dive into politics. Betty says the town is afraid of rioting. Yeah, I definitely think they are. K-Bay says, I hope he's given the benefit of the doubt. There's a lot going on in this case, guys, and there's a lot to talk about here. Mountain Johnson says, mistrial. So let me check the poll. Where are we at on the poll? I said, do you think it'll be a hung jury? It's 66% say yes, 34% say no. If you guys haven't voted in that poll, please go vote in that poll real fast. I want to know what you guys are thinking. Wow, just saw that Daniel's dad is having a press conference tomorrow. Interesting. Wonder if I text him. David, I'll text him real fast. Hey, David. Heard you were having a press conference. Praying for you. So I just texted him. We'll see if he responds. Might just be asking for more help. Ralph said, I received your book in the Kindle format yesterday, and I read 2 chapters yesterday. Thank you for doing that, Ralph. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know what you think about it. So David just texted me back, who's Daniel's father, and he said, thank you. Yes, I am. And he said, I hope that all is well with you. And I said, that's good. I will tune in. Tyler, what do you think? I do think that this is going to be a situation where the trial it's going to end up basically in a no verdict, in my opinion. So we'll see. Okay, I'm going to go to Twitter real fast and go to my own page. And I just want to see what's happening. What is happening in our petition that we did? We were close to 1,500 signatures yesterday. Let's see where we're at today. Wow, 2,793 people have signed our petition that Gen B started for the Landry family. Good work, guys. Wow. That's amazing. Keep it up. Grandma Patty says, so many charges. I can't see 12 people coming to an agreement on these charges. Yeah, me neither, Grandma Patty, honestly. The link, yeah, I'll send the link. I'm going to put the link in the chat real fast for the petition. Boom. Just put it in there for those of you who are wanting to do that. Avery says, considering the time that the jury is taking, they aren't agreeing or deciding which charges he's guilty of. I'm positive it won't be not guilty. Ooh. I don't know enough about how juries work, and I should have had Kent Landry call in tonight because he told me if we needed his expertise as a trial attorney on this particular case that he would call in. And I said, yeah, we would love that. But just so you guys know, I am not the best at scheduling things. And so I was just, I'm like, yeah, that would be great. We'd love to have you. And, you know, I should have been like, why don't you come on whatever day today is, Thursday. Thank you for that super chat, Grandma Patty. Thank you for that super chat, Avery. Julie says, I'm worried the jury will go for lesser charges. Juan says, I recently served on a jury and wondered what your thoughts are on if God will judge us on how we judge others. I think in everything, that's a great question. I think in everything, we have to make decisions with Holy Spirit conviction. And if I was going to serve on a jury, I would do it prayerfully. And so if you act in good faith with all the information you've been given and make the best choice, the Lord will be happy with that. Aletha says, Tyler, I sent you the email to get sent your book that I won. Great, Aletha. Thank you for doing that. I forwarded it to Kim. Kim, can you confirm in the chat that you received that address from me? I'm proud of you, Aletha. David says, that makes no sense to me. A mistrial then. Is that not the purpose of a judge? Christy said, Tyler, as a Christian, do you believe in the death penalty? I'm torn. That's a really controversial topic for some reason in Christianity. I don't believe in the death penalty, personally, because I don't think Jesus believed in the death penalty. There's a time in the Bible whenever a woman had committed a sin that warranted the death penalty according to the cultural rules and the law at the time. And instead of allowing her to be stoned, he looked at everyone who was going to stone her and say, you without sin, throw the first stone. And they disappeared. The crowd disappeared. And in my little way of viewing and understanding and reading the Bible, it was just to me that Jesus doesn't believe in the death penalty. So that's my conviction on that. That's really controversial. I don't know very many people in ministry that don't. Avery says, hey, text Landry and ask him to come on. Maybe he isn't busy. But I feel nervous about doing that. It's kind of late, isn't it? I'll see. Oh, I don't even have his number saved in my phone. Dang it. Well, I would do that. I just went to type it, Avery, and I don't have his number. Maybe we can get him for tomorrow. Maybe I'll email him tomorrow. Because tomorrow, maybe there'll be a verdict tomorrow. Sin 70 says, quote, the law gives even foolish men the right to defend their lives, but an acquittal does not make a foolish man a hero. Thank you for that super chat, Sin 70. Good quote. Lana says, Jesus got the death penalty and God was not happy about it. Linda says, I'm praying that David has good news. He always texted back when I send him a prayer. Yeah, he's a great guy. I'm praying for that too. Thank you for that super chat. What do you guys believe? I don't know why it's controversial. I think I'm naive about stuff. Don't talk about politics. Is it a political thing? I don't know. Do you believe in the death penalty? I don't know. I don't personally. I just said that, but I don't understand how you could want somebody to die, even the worst people. 2,831 have signed that petition. Thank you guys for doing that. Did any of you guys watch the Tiger King thing? The first season of the Tiger King? Avery says, I do not believe in the death penalty. The first season of Tiger King. What was the guy's name? There's Carol Baskins. And then what was the guy's name on the show? Joe. Okay. This came out like right for me. Well, maybe it came out a little bit before lockdown happened, but I don't even have Netflix now. All I have is YouTube. Well, I have. What do you get for free if you have an AT&T phone? I have that, but I don't I got rid of Netflix and all that stuff. But I had Netflix right whenever COVID happened. Joe Exotic, and so I watched Tiger King or whatever it's called. Is that what it's called? The first season. And I had a big question about that whole situation. And it involved Carol Baskin's husband. It seemed to me like something really fishy was happening. Well, as of today, that's starting to heat up. Check this out. Check out this story.
This morning, Hillsborough County detectives are answering new questions about a local case at the center of the Netflix show Tiger King.
Yeah, the show's second season takes a closer look at the disappearance of Carol Baskin's former husband, Don Lewis. Beth Rousseau live with a look at this new billboard that is trying to bring in some tips in this case. Good morning, Beth.
Hey, Chris and Avery, I know Dale Mabry is a big part of a lot of people's commute. That means there's going to be a lot of eyeballs on this new billboard that's trying to get some new information in on the disappearance of Carol Baskin's former husband, Don Lewis.
What happened to Don Lewis? Carol knows something.
It's a question at the center of the hit documentary Tiger King. What happened to Don Lewis when he disappeared in 1997? A new billboard on Del Mabry Highway offers $100,000 for information leading to an answer about Carol Baskin's missing husband. The saga's second season just dropped on Netflix Wednesday. The release comes despite Baskin's attempt to stop the sequel from airing. A judge ruled against the Big Cat Rescue owner's lawsuit earlier this month.
Don definitely is buried under the septic tank. Now he's definitely buried under the house. You know, they say he was definitely ground up and fed to the tigers. How is it they can't come to one lie and everybody agree on that lie?
Baskin addresses the controversy surrounding Lewis's disappearance in her new show, Carol Baskin's Cage Fight. Some are still skeptical about her answers and hope detectives on the case can provide more insight. And we know there is plenty of interest in this case, especially now that so many people are binging season 2 of Tiger King. The lead detective on the Don Lewis case is going to be updating us on where they're at with the case this morning at 10 o'clock. We'll be involved in that so we can bring you all.
It's so interesting to me. This case is so interesting. And the heat, like I said, is being turned up. Avery says, who else walked around saying, Carol Baskin killed her husband, whacked him? I know I did. Pray for me. My little cousin Levi did. And I wish I had the video to show you. I just texted my cousin Sarah. I said, can you send me the video of Levi doing that? Because it was so funny whenever he said that. But Avery, a lot of people were saying that. And there's a reason why she didn't want this coming out. So come on, y'all. I didn't even know there was a whole nother thing coming out. I saw this news article today and I was like, this case has been interesting to me because it felt clear to me that like she pushed him out of the airplane or something when I watched it based on the way that they presented it. Again, there's two sides to every story. That was one side of the story, but somebody put a billboard up. Who murdered Don Lewis? $100,000 reward. Kathy says a lot of people that year dressed up as Joe Exotic for Halloween. I think people are still dressing up as Joe Exotic. Obviously, I couldn't even remember his name. So I wasn't dressing up as him, but Avery sends a super chat and says, I did not know that there was a season 2. I'm at Walmart delivery now, picking out junk food. See y'all Saturday. Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah. Well, Teresa says, hey, Tyler, hope you had a great birthday. Thank you. Hey, here's the StreamYard link if anybody wants to call in tonight. We talked about 5 or 6 different things. There's a lot. There's a lot that we can go into for sure. Moonstone says, I prayed so much for this little boy and his sister. So happy. The astral world amount times 100 will not repair one broken family or society. I know that's one of the things I say when people sue in these situations. It's like money might bring some, or a court case might bring some justification in their hearts. Like finally, from a public's perspective or whatever, but no amount of money could ever heal a heart. I'm telling you that. No amount of money could heal somebody's heart. Joan says, Tyler and fam, did anyone else get a book delivered yet? I'm waiting on mine. So Joan, people who ordered it from my website, unfortunately, and it's not my fault, are not going to get it until the first week of December, unfortunately. So I can't remember if you ordered it from my website or not, but if you ordered it from my website, I'm sorry, you're not going to get it until the first week of December. And I'm sorry for everybody that did that. People who've ordered it on Amazon, some have already gotten it, as of Debbie last night showed me hers. Other people who've ordered theirs on Amazon are still waiting to get it. So Renee says, Tyler, are you enjoying the warm weather? Are you getting rest? Well, you know what? It rained like so hard almost all day long. We didn't even get to go outside much. And we just went outside in the rain and just made the most of it. Unfortunately, we just had to do what we had to do. And we ate at some restaurants. And that's pretty much all we did today. Like, we didn't do much because it was so rainy. We went to a place called Little Havana, and I had some coffee. That's it. That's pretty much it. Rain, rain, go away. I'll show you guys a picture of Lily, my little cousin Lily. She's 13. This is her today. Found a butterfly on the wall. It's raining if you can't tell from her hair. And she took a picture in front of the butterfly. And that was done in the rain. So other than that, I'm praying for no rain the rest of this trip. Thank you for asking, though. I feel like since it's raining, we can't do much. I get a little bit of a rest for that reason. It is warmer outside. Debbie says, Tyler, did you go shopping? I liked your shirt with the palm trees. I brought this shirt with me. I'm not much of a shopper. Rose and Lily went shopping, and I don't know what they bought. They took forever. I sat in the car, and I made the thumbnail for this video and created the title for this video, and then just sat there and waited on them. And I go, I hate shopping. It's not my thing. Not a shopper. Avery says Tyler's an Amazon shopper. Very true. I am an Amazon shopper. And even if I can avoid that, I try to. It's just like, what can I make buy on? Rose is my cousin. Wiggleworm says, who's Rose? Rose is my cousin. Nikki says, it's a blessing to not be a shopper. Yeah, except for if you need stuff. Then it's the opposite of a blessing. Because sometimes I need stuff and I just refuse to go shopping. Here was an interesting article that came out today from the New York Post. And it said, Travis Scott, Kylie Jenner, Alec Baldwin, no one shows an ounce of shame anymore. Some tragedies you might think would cause a person involved to go to ground. Show some respect by disappearing from the scene, or at least take a break from social media. But no. Alec Baldwin, of all people, had a lot of public goodwill after he accidentally shot and killed cinematographer Hutchins, a young wife and mother. That is until he very quickly resumed life as usual, replete with terribly tone-deaf Instagram posts. Now Baldwin's everywhere, hitting the town Wednesday night in a tux, dining with his fraudulent and equally callous wife at upscale celeb hotspots, promoting his podcast on social media, tweeting about politics, posing for happy family pictures. Clearly, Alec and the Hamptons own Rachel Dolezal. I don't understand how people can act like nothing's really happened. Then we have Travis Scott, along with his girlfriend Kylie Jenner and the entire Kardashian clan, treating the completely unavoidable Astroworld tragedy as an inconvenience for them. They couldn't even stay off of social media for a minute. Kendall Jenner, who posted a photo of herself sipping a drink backstage, didn't take the image down right after the tragedy. Instead, she simply altered it, deleting her caption and adding a mountain peak emoji, a reference to Scott's Utopia mountain stage set. What better way to honor the injured and the dead, right, guys? Yeah, take a photo in front of the stage where people died. Really classy. 8 people died at the concert. This picture is tone deaf, to say the least. The scene at Astroworld was utter human carnage, egged on by Scott. More than 300 people were treated at a hospital. 25 were hospitalized, and as of this writing, 10 have passed away, including a 9-year-old boy. Here's the thing. There is perhaps no more media-savvy, sophisticated planet than the Kardashians. Savage as it may be to say, there's only one takeaway. They don't care. These reactions are more suited to the annoyance of getting a parking ticket or a mean tweet. Nothing. Not even a preventable grievous harm or death. What do you guys think about this? You think they're acting completely tone deaf? The offered is an insult. Spit in the eye. Most of us would have trouble getting out of bed for weeks. I would like to hear that. What if you were in this situation? How would you have responded? Aletha, how are you?
I'm good. What about you?
We can't hear you very well.
Can you hear me now?
No, not really.
Oh my.
I don't know why it's so quiet. Lisa, thank you for that super sticker. It's a little, is that a rhino, a hippo spinning around in a chair? This?
I need to turn my mic up. I don't know how to do that.
That's what it looked like to me. Thank you, Lisa, for that super sticker. Well, it's really not. I don't know what the deal is, Aletha. Can you guys hear Aletha? My volume's all the way up, and I can't really hear you. Super weird.
It's on. Mike's on. Let me.
So yeah, the people watching can't hear you either, Aletha. You might have to hang up and try to call back and see if it fixes it, okay?
I'll do that. I'll do that.
We'll see if she tries to hang up and call back and if that fixes the problem. Lisa says, thank you for being on, Tyler. I'm happy to be here with you. I appreciate the support. When you guys support, send super chats, send super stickers, join the Feller fam. It really means a lot, and it encourages me to keep on the good fight. Something meaningful happening here. Avery just sent me this. Alec Baldwin intentionally fired deadly shot on the Rust film set. Alec Baldwin has... Oh my gosh. Alec Baldwin has been hit with his first lawsuit on the fatal shooting of Hutchins. The chief lighting technician on Rust, Sergei Savinvoy, filed a civil lawsuit against the film's producers, including Baldwin, as well as assistant director and armorer Hanner, that alleges that they were negligent in Hutchins' death. He claims that he narrowly missed the bullet and was struck by discharged materials. He had been friends with Helena for more than 5 years and is also an immigrant from Ukraine. But there's now even more mystery surrounding the tragedy. The armor Hanner Gutierrez Reed's attorney released this statement. We're convinced that this was sabotage and Hannah is being framed. We believe that the scene was tampered with before police arrived. So maybe there's conspiracy to this case. I'm not sure. Hey, Jen, how are you?
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm glad to see you.
I know. I just wanted to call in and say hi.
Yeah, thank you.
It's been a bit.
There's people are not wanting to call in tonight for some reason. I want to shout out Sherry who sent that super sticker. Thank you, Sherry, for sending that super sticker, being part of the Feller fam. How would you have responded? Like, had you accidentally, discharged a gun or had a concert where 10 people were died? I couldn't get out of bed, probably.
I don't even know. That whole thing with the gunshot, it just awful that they were not more careful on the set.
It blows my mind.
And then I don't know, did you see the interview where he was Alec Baldwin and his wife were on the street and some paparazzi had followed them? Did you see that interview?
I didn't see that interview.
So this was before they went back to New York, I think. I don't remember where they were. Maybe the audience knows. But they had pulled over on the side of the road. They got out of their car and started, okay, what do you need to ask us that you had to follow us for? Like, very aggressive. He was telling his wife to kind of be quiet. She was filming him. She was filming the crew. It was very bizarre. And I can understand being frustrated, but it's like, I don't know. It's crazy how that went down and how you're firing live rounds out of a prop. It's not even really a prop gun, because a prop gun would imply that you wouldn't fire live rounds out of it. But like that there isn't this separation. I don't know. It's awful. It's awful.
I can understand. Teresa says, I'm so excited to finally be watching live as it's happening. Thank you, Teresa, for doing that. It's probably better watching it live, right? I would think, because you can talk in the chat and all that, call in if you want.
It is fun. And congratulations. I didn't have a chance to tell you in person, but congratulations on your book. I just ordered the Kindle version. So I can't wait to read it.
I would love to hear your thoughts on it. Honest feedback. Like, I appreciate honest feedback more than anything. And so once you dive into it, I'd love to hear sort of what you think about it.
I will. I love what I've heard so far that you've read out loud. So that's been interesting. And I wanted just a thought maybe around some topics for next week, obviously, depending on what happens. What do you think about reviewing the timeline for Daniel? Did you ever do that?
No.
Okay, I might have missed it. That's why I'm asking. I don't know if you feel this way, but I kind of feel like there's so much going on, yet there's no conclusion or there's no new stuff. I feel like there's all these like unwoven, pieces. I think about Kaylin and Crystal still. And
I know.
Do you feel like after Gabby that law enforcement's like, enough with social media, like stop that? And maybe that's why there's some silence.
Well, we've seen that the FBI doesn't deal with it anyways. And we
Yeah.
have already seen in the situation with Daniel that they're not super cooperative with what's happening to begin with.
That's true.
So I think some of the public pressure that was put, and because it was multiple departments, so some of the public pressure that was put on Grand Teton and was put on Moab and was put on Northport, that's part of the reason why it became public. But again, I go back to some of what Gabby and Brian had posted online made us feel more like we knew them. And in the case of Jason Landry, in the case of Daniel Robinson, in the case of Kylan and Crystal, there's a whole lot less of their lives on social media for us to connect with at a personal level.
Yeah, and that's such a good point. That's a good point that you said that. I don't know. I know you mentioned it the other night. The woman that was found, body parts were found with the tattoo. She has like 6 Facebook profiles. Like, no one's really talking about it yet, so it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, a lot of profiles, Facebook profiles. So everyone's just the cases obviously are so different, but I just feel like we're kind of stuck and it doesn't feel like things are moving forward. Although you hope that they are with law enforcement because that's what really matters. So
there's massive similarities between some of them. And maybe when we go through the Daniel case, we can pick out things that, oh, Garrett Walker, this was similar. Jelani Day, this was similar.
Yeah.
Jason Landry, this was similar. I don't understand why they all took off all of their clothes. Like, that makes, what are the chances of that happening? They disappeared and all of their clothes is in a pile.
I don't get it. I mean, I know that they say, shock or hypothermia, and I don't know. I'm not a doctor, so I don't know if that's true, but it is like very strange that it happens, and just the lost time too, right? From when they go missing. And this is why I was hoping Daniel's dad would have the information about where the first accident happened, because then I feel like you could plead with everybody like, hey, if you were in that area, there was this 4-hour window. What did he do? Did someone see him? I would like to believe he probably wasn't just sitting out in the desert. He was probably doing something, but we don't know.
I told David whenever I texted him that I'll be tuning in, and he's gonna have a press conference. I'm sure he doesn't want to leak whatever he's gonna talk about to me, so we can talk about it on the show right now.
Right? Yeah. I'm hoping it'd be nice if there was some more information, but and I know he's doing a search, I think, tomorrow or on the weekend, like he always does. So he's so strong. He's amazing. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the families it's just amazing to watch them all, and you hope you never have to go through it, but I don't know if I would be so strong.
I was moved by Jason Landry, his father Kent, and just his resolve to, remain faithful to the Lord, commit sort of his journey to the Lord. And, that's a really big deal to me.
I agree. Yeah, he was pretty amazing.
It was like, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're just fighting for answers and fighting to bring their kids home.
So. It's heartbreaking. It's like, I would ask this question. Maybe you can answer it, or maybe you don't feel like you have to answer it. But when we look at Travis Scott, would you say he's a narcissist?
Yes. I mean, I don't know him, so it's hard. I think, is it a persona? Is it who he really is? This is what I'm always trying to like.
I think anybody who's,
and maybe this is an unpopular opinion, but I'm not a fan of the Kardashians and kind of how they've projected stuff into the universe of that isn't real or that people can't always obtain. So I feel like if he's a part of that, there's got to be some of that in him. I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know him, so I can only say the persona he puts out is, yes, definitely. Do you feel that?
I feel like anybody who's wanting to get that level of fame has to have at least a little sliver of narcissism in them, right? Because it's different than if it happens versus if they're pushing for it. And that's what he's known for. It's like being a marketing guru, getting all of these endorsement deals and collaborations with people. They're like people, if you watch things about him, they're like, he's not really that great of a musician, but he's great at getting attention.
Yeah.
So I think for sure he's a narcissist, which would then make the point that I was trying to get at would be, well, he probably has no empathy over the lives that were lost.
So, but that is that, and I don't know if I can separate it, but for me, you're right. I think that there's a lot of leaders that are narcissists, but I don't know that all leaders would not have empathy to some extent. So I feel like, are they connected always, or is it just you have this, and on top of that, you also have no empathy? I don't know. Does that make sense?
Narcissists lack empathy, but what they can do is understand what can get them to where they want to be. And so they can fake it so that they can get where they want, but they don't actually have it.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And again, I don't know. So this is so hard. I feel like sometimes you only know what you know and what they're willing to show you. Right. And so you make judgments off of that.
I would say that they
by his actions, right? His current actions.
When we look at him and some of the others, I would say like, man, they weren't trying to go after the music business because they were tied to a cause that they cared so much about.
Right.
And they were going after it because they cared about themselves. What about Alec Baldwin? Do you know much about him? Do you think he would be a narcissist?
Oh my goodness. After watching that video, you'll have to I'll have to find that video for you.
After what you
said. Because it was just, I don't know that it was unexpected by any means for him, because I felt like he and his brothers were always a little bit off the charts. But the video was so awkward, and I can't, again, you don't know what's in someone's head, right? So you don't know if he is feeling remorse and just all these feelings about what happened. So you don't know, but I'm going to tell you, it was the strangest. And if anybody else saw it, has the link, send it. But he just very aggressive behavior. It's very strange. It's very strange the way he told his wife to be quiet. Like, I got this, don't talk. And then she was so aggressive in it too. It was very strange.
As my little radars going off, and it was just further the point, we feel sympathy. I feel sympathy for everybody involved. But then when you sort of if we profiled them, which we're not professional profilers, so we probably shouldn't be doing it. If they are narcissists, anybody a narcissist, it would explain a little bit of lack of empathy, because the response to it, we're like, that makes no sense.
Do you think it's also a bit of, I think of Elvis and Michael Jackson, where people, they already have some of that, and then people kind of feed into that around them. Does that make sense? Yeah.
And it grows. Yeah. It's like they have some dysfunction, and instead of being able to overcome it, it becomes an actual problem.
Yeah. People definitely feed in it. They like it. I don't know. But here's, basically kind of like Summerwell, as I said to you in that email, and thanks for writing me back. But ultimately, it's not about him. It's about the loss that occurred, and how do you prevent it? There's nothing he's going to be able to pay to make that better. So yeah, you just want some sincere, you cared. If you didn't know, then how do you not feel more more for the family? And I think about, I don't know, I don't want to go down political lines, but when we lost lives over in Afghanistan, and it's just the same kind of thing. I don't think that when people are grieving is the time to try to always make it right. You do what you can, and then, let them kind of go through it. And then, but you have to be sincere and go at their pace. I think he should be working at their pace, not his pace.
I explained that to a pastor I was working with before one time, because they had a full-time job, but they were working as a kids pastor in our ministry at the time. And we had a 16-year-old that had a baby that had passed away. It was heartbreaking. And I had to preach the funeral. It was one of the worst funerals I've ever done. It was 5-month-old baby from SIDS that had passed away. And this teenager was almost living on her own. They were part of our church, and it was like she was like, I feel so bad. This baby was a part of our nursery for the past 5 months or whatever. And she's like, I'm not going to be able to be there because I have to work. I'm like, it's okay. Like, you being at that moment's a blur for her. This 16-year-old needs you to be there for her, a month from now and 6 months from now and a year from now, and be consistent in her life. And I think people don't understand that, because so many people want to jump to the tragedy when it happens, but nobody actually wants to go on the ride with somebody. And we need people to go on the ride.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, yeah, what happens when everybody stops, and that's the don't stop.
Right here. Don't stop.
The don't stop. But it's true. I have not grieved loss like that. So I can only imagine and just, run at their pace, whatever that is.
Which sometimes it's going to be in reverse, and sometimes it's going to be a snail's pace, and then other days it's going to be a full out sprint. But the thing is, like, we have a culture never really learned how to journey with people. There's very few people that I know that actually know how to journey with people. And when bad things happen, or when things happen that are, hitting the public eye, everybody sort of wants to jump at it, but very few people are willing to go on the ride with people. And we need more people that are willing to be like, I'm going to be here when you're in a good mood, and I'm going to be here when you're in a really bad mood. Because what happens is people get in really bad moods a lot of times when they've gone through some stuff, and people are like, yo, I don't want to deal with that. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, I don't know if that's our human ability to kind of move on. But when you're moving on and someone else is left behind, it's, how do you have those touch points and check in? And it's hard. I can't imagine. And that's why it's so amazing when you see these aunts and fathers come on and talk about it. It's like, where do they get that strength, and how do they keep it? And they're probably tired of answering the same questions over and over again, but they do it. They do it anyway. It's just amazing.
Doing the same basic interviews again and again and again. It's like, and my prayer is like, hopefully the way that we're doing our channel, and you're a big part of it, and other people that are on here that are consistent and part of the Feller fam, and contribute in ways like you have with the timeline and stuff, like, all that's important, because I really believe that God wants to use us to be able to be there for families in a way that other channels are not. Like, I want to be there for the Laundry family, and I want to be there for the Landry family, and I want to be there for the Robinson family. And if they need an outlet of some kind, I want to be able to facilitate that for them in that moment, but also when no one's looking, pray with them and talk with them and counsel them and be an ear for them.
Yeah, I think about just, back to the first couple of episodes when you were donating the money for the Petito Foundation, or, whatever they were going to be doing with it. And I think they're still working on it, but that was very early on in that. And it was coming from a place of, I guess, faith and bringing us all together. And it's just amazing. And it hasn't changed. So maybe the topics have changed a little bit, but the, what do you call them? Not Prayer Fridays. What do you call them?
The Faith Fridays. Yeah.
Yes, Faith Fridays. Oh my God. Those are amazing. I love them. I sit quietly in the back, but it just, the one where the money was raised to pay the rent. Oh.
Was that incredible? And what blew my mind about that was that it was so much beyond what we had asked for. I'm like, guys, maybe we can get $300. And it was enough. It was way more than that. And it was like $1,620 or something like that. And it was just unbelievable. It was enough to pay the rent for the rest of that month and the next month, cover the fees associated with doing that. Plus, Patricia, who received that money, told me any extra money, use it for other people. And so I've been able to do that a little bit behind the scenes and haven't talked about it. But
it honestly could not have happened. Patricia's so sweet. And I think she pays it forward just by coming on and kind of sharing her story. And I think you said something that night that probably applies to everything that we talk about, Tyler. And I'm just going to say this and I'll let you go. But for me, what you said was just the little bits add up to something really big. And I feel like even though, going over timeline may not feel like it helps in the moment, or, signing the petitions, it's like it starts to grow though, right? And create awareness. So I find it amazing that you're doing that and helping us.
The petition is up to 2,953.
Yeah.
Isn't that incredible?
That is incredible. And it just started 3 days ago.
Yeah,
It
I think
hasn't
2
been
days.
that long.
I think it's
Yeah.
been 2 days.
2 days.
2 days. So yeah, 2 days ago is what it says. So it's just unbelievable. It's just like it's just snowballing and taking off. So incredible.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for calling in. Thank you for being a part of our channel.
Bye. Thanks, everyone. Bye,
Have a good
Tyler.
evening. Renee says, Tyler, did you see the email to the link of Jacob's mother's interview? I did not. She begged him to let kids go. Claims of romance with Amber and Jake. What? That is scandalous. I have not seen that. I will check it out. Did you emailed it to me? Thank you for that super chat, Renee. I'll check it out. Kathy says, my second child was stillborn at 7 months. It was devastating. More people need to be on for the ride. Some of my very best friends, Kathy, had that happen to them. It was, I don't know if it was stillborn or something like that, but essentially the baby was full term. The husband was serving our church in Honduras. Family I'm very close with. The mom goes for a routine checkup of the baby. No heartbeat. It was so hard. I slept in the hospital lobby. As we waited on him, he got back from Honduras, went to the hospital, had to switch hospitals. Like, it was so heartbreaking. I'm still on the journey with them. It's an everyday thing. And it's been 2 years ago. Moonstone says, having experienced narcissism firsthand for years, I feel that, yes. Scott's grandiose, inflated ego, his lack of empathy, those are the traits. But it's his love for chaos that confirms his pathology. I agree with you, Moonstone. Couldn't agree with you more. Thank you for your super chat. Zan's Beat says, thank you for the work you do to spread awareness to these heavy issues in the media. I'm trying, Zan's Beats. I'm trying, and I'm praying that the Lord continues to grow the platform here so that we can, continue to do our best of getting that story out. Aletha, are you there? You're muted this time, so let's unmute you and see if it works.
How's that?
Yes, it's good. We can hear you.
Okay, I don't know what happened. Okay, well, let's see, Travis Scott. I think that if, yes, if he's sued, it can't bring back the family members that passed away, but maybe it will change the style that some of the rappers continue in. And definitely, what he was doing was demonic.
Oh, yeah.
And at most concerts, I've been to concerts and years ago.
And more breaking.
And years ago, before I was living like I should, most concerts, there's always drugs there. And I was at a concert one night where there was a push towards the stage, and it was frightening. Because, I just felt like I just couldn't breathe. People just, you're just crammed up next to everybody. You don't, and there's always, there's a lot of smoke, and then there's the stuff that's happening on stage. Of course, this was like, in the 70s, but still, even if you're there, even if you're not smoking like marijuana, it's all in the air. You can't keep from getting high, even if you didn't, intend to.
Right.
And I was at one, and I remember standing there saying, God, if you just let me get out of here. I was praying. I knew to pray, and I did pray. So it's terrifying. I can only, think of what those people were going through, and now what the families are going through. It's horrible.
Yes.
So it's something needs to happen to bring awareness to things like that. It shouldn't just continue.
Well, I hope there's a change.
Well, I feel like maybe
I
if
doubt
they
there
do,
will be, but I hope there will be.
well, if they bring suits, maybe they'll think twice before they, do something so demonic anyway. And there's definitely been talk about that. As you said, even on, some of the news stations that you wouldn't expect it from. It's been on there. And as far as the the young men that have been disappearing, oh, that just breaks my heart. I can only, I've got $2, and if something was to happen to my kids like that, and I had to live with not knowing where they are or what happened to them,
Mm-hmm.
And I said the other night, I just really wonder if they're being approached. Now, wasn't one of those guys a pilot or studying to be a pilot?
Garrett Walker.
Okay. That would have been somebody that drug runners would have most likely approached.
Oh, yeah, it could have been.
I wondered about that. It was just something kind of crawled through my brain.
I didn't think about that. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Hey, I have a question for you. How's Elijah doing? He stole everybody's heart the other night. Well, I can tell that you are an incredible person based on the respect that your 5-year-old has through a video call. Unbelievable. I can tell you're an incredible person just based on the conduct of your grandson.
Well, it's not just me. His daddy is a minister. His mother is a praise and worship leader. I'm third generation Pentecostal. I can't say I've always lived it, but he's around church, and he's he knows.
I could
He
tell.
don't always do it, but he knows, and he is a smart little fella.
I could tell.
And he's spoiled too, because he is the only grandchild on both sides. He's so growny. So you say something about my little grandbaby, and I got to talk about him. he's a charmer.
Well, he has $5. I hope you took him to the Dollar General store. Got some Sour Patch
I
Kids.
hadn't took him yet, but I'll have him during the holidays, and so we'll do some painting, and we'll probably go to. He loves to go to Walmart, But yeah, thank you very much, and I will tell his mama that. And I'm so excited about my winning my book. But now I am going to buy. In fact, I may buy one for both my girls, both for their families. And let's see. I wanted to say, what's the other cases? Oh, the Rittenhouse case.
Yeah, the Rittenhouse case.
Okay. Well, I kind of, been watching it some this week, the trial. And I really, my first thought on that is nobody should go somewhere like that with a gun. That bothers me. And those kind of guns, I don't think there's a place for them in, I mean, they're a war weapon. As for that's what I think about that, an AR-15. But I do believe that he was surrounded, and if he had not defended himself, they probably would have taken the gun from him and shot him.
Could be.
So I feel like he just kind of got himself in a bad situation, and he is very young. At 17, you've got a lot of life to live.
Yeah.
And I'm so sorry that he seems very articulate. He's smart. I just wonder, I don't know, how did he get himself in that situation?
There's a lot of questions about that I have, but I've been avoiding asking or answering them because it's divisive. But he's incredibly articulate. And I've been mainly trying to focus on like the facts of, is it going to be a mistrial or whatever, you know?
Well, I don't know. If I understand it right, if it's a mistrial, then the case is like totally thrown out and they can't try it again.
That's the way I understand. But again, I'm not an expert and I don't know about all the laws in all the different states. So we'll find that out probably in the next 1 or 2 days.
I think that's what it is. Now, I'll tell you, I do not want him to spend his life in jail. He's too, I believe he would be, hopefully he's learned something and maybe he could help some younger people to see that what he done was irresponsible. And, I don't want him to have to spend his life in jail. He didn't intend to kill anybody. I don't think. Of course, that's my opinion.
We'll find out what the jury thinks. It sounds like they're on the fence. But thank you, Aletha, for calling in. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. And I'm excited to get my book.
Yay. Me too.
Still prayers for you, hon.
Thank
I'll
you.
take
I need
care.
them.
Have a good evening.
Yep. Thank you. Elizabeth says, I just emailed you the video with Alex and his wife being interviewed. Thank you, Elizabeth. I'll play it here in just a second. Pamela says, what about Zach Stacy? That's a crazy story. And if we have time tonight, Pamela, I'll put it on there. Thank you for that super chat. But first, we have Grandma Patty in the house.
Hey, how you doing tonight, dear? I'm here.
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Good, thanks. I had a couple things. You touched on so many things. The death penalty. For me, I just want to leave that up to God, not man. I'm afraid someone could get the death penalty that was innocent. Our justice system is a little flawed, not perfect. That's what concerns me. And then we condemning someone to death. What about redemptive purposes of God in their life? They could turn their life around and find the Lord.
I feel. I want to redeem people to life. Forget about condemning people to death. I want to redeem people to life.
Okay, great. That's where I'm at on that. And talking about the concert, I'm going to give him that. And I'm not giving him anything, but I will give him that he didn't know on the stage. What about the after party? No one came in and said, man, maybe you shouldn't be partying. Did you hear what happened? Come on now.
That's heartbreaking.
He had to have heard at the after party.
Right.
And then kept partying? I'm not going to give him that. He heard at the after party.
Not only was there an after party, there was an after party.
Right. So, they said there's a lot of drugs at those concerts. Maybe he gets drugged up to do. I don't know. I'm not judging. I shouldn't say that.
Other people are saying.
Oh, are they? Okay, I didn't heard that. I just was wondering if he was on drugs. But you were saying he was in. Okay. You mentioned something about them being involved in the church. And what was the name of the church again? You said
I
it sort of
mentioned
took off and it has good.
I mentioned Kylie Jenner was a part of a church.
Oh,
Travis
not
Scott,
him.
not him. This was when she
Okay.
was like in middle school,
So, okay. Oh, okay.
which in my opinion, by the
So,
way, is the most important age for
let's,
people to be involved in church. Middle school is the most important
oh my
because that's
goodness.
whenever we're forming our brain and we make the decisions about who we want to be.
Yes.
Like 90% of people make a decision about
Right.
if they're going to follow the Lord before they're 11.
Wow. Wow. Thank God for my grandchildren. You know, what I want to say was that I was backslidden. And I'm so glad that the Lord is married to the backslidden, by the way. He says it in his word. He is married to the backslider. Now, how good is that? And
Great.
what had happened was my son, one morning, he was 4 years old, and he came down the hallway. I'll never forget it. And he was all dressed up like he was going to church. I said, what do you got your Sunday clothes on for? He says, I want to get back in church. And that snapped me out of it. That
Wow.
him saying that snapped me back into reality that I had slowly drifted from the Lord. It's a slow process. And it can happen all of a sudden. It's very dangerous. And what happened with, I won't say that I can't judge Travis, but it's obviously he has some kind of evil persona around him. And if he swayed his wife into that same persona, then they could have a reprobate mind. And a reprobate mind is already a death sentence. That's what Pharaoh had. God can turn you over to that if your acts are so vile and so horrible and so ungodly. So what I want to ask you is, can we pray for that person with a reprobate mind?
That's a great question, because there's scripture that says God will hand you over to your sin, right? It's like these are
Yes.
the people that actually choose to no longer follow the Lord. And sort of the instruction that Paul's giving is like, do your best, but then move on. And it's like, for us, we pray and we do our best, but we move on. And I don't know, only through discernment of the Holy Spirit do we know when the move on time comes.
Exactly. Yes. Yes, it would have to be the Holy Spirit to give us that discernment for sure. But thank you tonight. You like my avatar?
You know what? It's my favorite one I've ever seen.
I wonder why. Okay, good night, sweetheart. God bless you. And thanks, mods.
They're doing a great job. Love our mods. Thank you guys so much. Love Grandma Patty. Christy P, thank you for joining the Feller fam. Okay, this is the video some have talked about. Renee and Elizabeth have talked about of Jake, Claire, I think.
And more breaking news tonight in the Amber Alert for 3-year-old Noah Clare. The search continues for the Gallatin boy, along with his father Jacob and cousin Amber.
TBI has released new surveillance photos of the three in California. These were taken in San Clemente on November 11th. You can see Jake and the Amber Alert. We're going to show you those pictures. You can see them carrying large backpacks when you see those pictures. Agents say the Subaru Legacy they believe Jake was driving was impounded 2 days earlier or 2 days later.
Now, the TBI says that Jake bought that vehicle on Facebook Marketplace on October 30th. California has now put out an endangered child alert for Noah. Beaver Dam, Kentucky police have listed Amber as a missing endangered person. California Highway Patrol believe Jacob Clare to be armed and dangerous. And tonight, we are hearing for the first time from Jacob Clare's mother, who is pleading for her son to return home with her 2 grandchildren.
News 4's Courtney Allen sat down with her today in Bowling Green. And Courtney, how is she doing?
Yeah, Marius Tracy, that is the very first question I asked Bonnie Kirpata, and she immediately broke down in tears. It's obvious that this is taking a toll on both sides of the family. Kirpata says Jake was the best dad to Noah up until this point, and she's begging him to do the right.
I would say I love you, because I love all my kids no matter what. But this isn't right.
A mother's plea.
I just need him to bring him home. It's tearing everybody apart.
Bonnie Kirpata is Jake Clare's mom.
I love my son. This was not the way. This was not the way. Because I love my grandbabies more.
Kirpata says the past week and a half has been excruciating for the family after police say Jake is believed to have taken off with her 2 grandchildren, 3-year-old Noah and 16-year-old Amber.
Do you have any indication, you know your son, of where they could be?
I thought I knew my son. I have no idea.
Kirpata says Jake was distraught about not having more time with Noah, his son. Noah's mother lives in Gallatin, and Kirpata says Jake has been trying to get overnight stays with Noah after only having day visits with him. A few months ago, Kirpata says Jake got a trailer and was then allowed to have Noah come stay every other weekend. Kirpata believes the alleged kidnapping was planned for some time. Before moving into the trailer, Kirpata says Jake was staying with his niece, Amber's family. Kirpata says there are concerns about Jake and Amber's relationship.
There's been talk of inappropriateness. And of course, as a mama, I pray that's not true, but we don't know. And there were things that seemed inappropriate.
Kirpata says she wants her grandchildren back.
Amber and Noah are not old enough and mature enough to make a decision to live on the run. That's your choice, and it's not right. I love you, but you've got to bring them babies home.
Now, other family members of Noah have said that Jake was suicidal and mentally unstable. Kirpata says to her knowledge, Jake was not. She says, in fact, he seemed happier than usual in the past 2 to 3 weeks.
So praise the Lord that they've been found. So they've been found. He's in custody. Those 2 have been taken into care. Praise the Lord for that. But the fact that the mom's saying she doesn't know whenever there's allegations of an inappropriate relationship between those 2 makes me think there is. For the mom to even say that. And I'm with Sonia. Man, I feel bad for her. Man, I feel bad for her. It's terrible. Lana says, I'm happy to hear that they've been found. Yeah, me too. And they're safe. At least as far as we know, they're completely safe. Danny says, oh my goodness, they're found. Yeah, they're found. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus, my Savior, for what you've done. Rob, how are you?
Thank you, Jesus, my Savior. What you've done.
Hey, Rob, are you there?
Rob, how are you? Hey, Tyler, how you doing?
I'm doing well. I think there was a lag or like an echo.
Hey, Tyler, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you. Can you hear
I'm not
me?
sure if you can hear me or not.
I can hear
But
you. Can you hear me?
can't hear you. Hello? I can hear you. Oh, okay. Sorry.
I can
hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. I don't know. It's on. I'm having you on speakerphone. Nope. So. Oh. Okay. But I just wanted to comment on a couple things. Like that Travis Scott thing, like, yeah, it's tragic. It sucks. You know, I feel for the families. But I heard the one caller say, you know, how can he be partying? Realistically, you don't think he's feeling some sort of guilt inside? You know, unfortunately for some people, they turn to drugs, alcohol, and stuff to kind of numb their minds, to get over it. And it's not ideal, but some people just don't want to deal with the reality, just like addicts or alcoholics. I'm a recovering addict. That's how I used to live my life, by numbing my mind, so I didn't have to deal with reality. And it's just something that I don't think a lot of people take into account. I watch a lot of EDM festivals on YouTube and stuff like that. And there's a bunch of DJs who, they have this thing, it's called Earthquake, where they have like tens of thousands of people and everybody's moving in sync and stuff. There's never issues, you know, and this was a one-off situation for them, you know. In regards to the Kyle, oh my Lord, his last name's drawing a blank with me right now. But the 18-year-old that's on trial in Wisconsin, you know, the biggest thing and the first thing I took into account is the fact he was a 17-year-old kid being chased by a grown man who obviously, well, I don't want to say obviously, but he definitely had some dark ideologies leading into that. And I think it was more or less it was going to be him or the other guy. And it sucks that either one, like anybody had to perish. But it was, to me, it was definitely a self-defense situation. And, you know, it sucks. The kid, he's going to be traumatized for life. He's going to be in counseling for life dealing with this. So is there really any winners out? Even if he gets acquitted, which I believe he will, is there really going to be any winners?
No, there's going to be no winners at all in this situation, Rob. And I appreciate your thoughts. Thank you for calling in tonight.
Yeah, man, for sure. Have a great night, Tyler.
There's a huge lag with Rob, so I couldn't say what I wanted to say, but I put my thoughts in the chat. Hey, Margaret, are you there?
Hi, Tyler, how are you?
I'm doing well. What are your thoughts tonight?
We were earlier, a little while back, you were talking about people going through grief and walking with that person in grief.
Yeah.
And I think what I can say, and I'm sorry if I start crying, please excuse me, because I've been there and I've been walking the journey for many years. I lost my first husband in 2005 to suicide, so it's a journey that you will always walk. And I think sometimes people with the best of intentions say, if you need me, I'll be there. But they can't. We who are in the grief need to be able to pull ourselves up out of that grief. And what happens is when we're grieving, we're pulling those people in.
Right.
And I don't think we can blame our relationships change because we're grieving, we've lost something or someone. And if you haven't lost that, if you haven't walked that journey, you're not going to understand it. Really, you can empathize, but you can sympathize, but you can't empathize, right? You can sympathize, but you can't empathize. And I think people need to learn how to help somebody grieve. And with that, it's not using the platitudes of he's in a better place or he's not in pain anymore, or those platitudes that we think we're saying or helping. Best thing, maybe I'm teaching people, the best thing to do when somebody's grieving is just to hold their hand and let them cry. Let them tell their story, no matter how many times they have to tell their story, because it's healing. Telling the story is healing. Letting them speak about the loss is healing.
That's why I think the movie The Shack is so important. And
Which movie?
the book, it's called The Shack. And the book, if you read the book, it's actually better. There's a scene in the book where like this thing happens and like the physical presence of God is sort of like, you know, on display in this book. And the guy his name's Mac in the book. He's like, aren't you gonna be mad at me that I did that? And God was like, no, it's only 77 more times you're gonna have to do that. The next time you do it's only 76 more times you're gonna have to do that.
Yeah.
And that's what you're talking about today, really. You're saying, hey, you know what? People need to tell their story, and they might need to tell it 100 times, but when they tell it, that means there's only 99 more times, but it's healing in that. So, Margaret, thank you for your thoughts on that.
You're welcome. And thank you so much for being here. I have to tell you, I just found you, and you have become a blessing to me.
Well, thank you.
Just being able to hear you speak about God's love and God's favor and you're feeding us. Just know that you are feeding the people here, your congregation that you have here, you are feeding each and every one of us. And we thank you for that. Okay. And
Well, thank you.
take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Because we need you.
Well,
Okay?
I'm doing my best, but
So
you know
get
what?
healthy.
I'm praying and hoping that this channel continues to grow and can reach more people. And I don't know if it's doing that or not right now. So it's hard to gauge it from my mind. And I
You
don't know
got
the
me.
impact that it's making a lot of times either, but I do appreciate you letting me know.
You're welcome. Well, you got me. I've only been here 2 weeks.
Well,
And
I'm
I'm new.
glad to
I
have
found
you.
you. You know, God has a way of putting you in a place where you need to be. He has a way of putting people in your face who you need to have in your face. And he brought us to you. Okay?
Well,
just realize that.
that's so encouraging. Thank you so much for calling in too.
You're welcome. God bless, sweetheart.
Have a good evening. Sin 70 says, don't stop in my hot little hands. Amazing. Amy, thank you for that super chat. By the way, I just want to thank everybody who's written a review for the Don't Stop book. And really, it's blowing my mind that you guys have read it and done reviews. And some of these reviews are taking a while to show up. Hey, Avery, how are you?
Hey, am I too loud or am I good?
It sounds okay on my end. I think it's okay.
Okay. So I probably have an unpopular opinion about the Rittenhouse trial. I understand what everybody's saying about it was self-defense and he shouldn't spend his life in prison. Like I totally understand all of that. But my thing is if he walks away completely scot-free, one, what example is that showing our youth? Like, what example is that showing other 16, 17-year-olds? What, he was 17 when this happened?
Yeah, 17 when it happened.
And two, what about the people who were killed? I mean, I keep going back to he shouldn't have been in that situation to begin with. And I'm sure that he is very sorry that he did. And I don't think he should spend his life in prison, but I do think there needs to be some kind of punishment. Maybe not prison, but there's got to be something, because I don't think that it's okay to say to our youth that, yes, you know, this is okay for you to go as a teenager and go get yourself in the middle of this with this type of weapon. You know, we don't want to say that's okay, because then the next riots, we're going to have even more 17-year-olds out there.
Yeah. I know I have a lot of questions surrounding all of that. And it's like, who's responsible? In a lot of ways, I'm like, you know, I don't know. I don't want to get too deep into it because it gets more divisive than what I like putting myself at the center of. But I have a lot of questions about what you're saying.
Yeah. So that's my thoughts on that. But I do think that the jury, usually if they're all usually if they're gonna come back with a not guilty verdict, it usually comes back pretty fast. So I think it's either heading for a mistrial, hung jury, or they're trying to decide what exactly he should be found guilty of, because they've got different charges to look at. So
If
I'm hoping
if he's found guilty, but it's a mistrial, will we know it's a mistrial, but he was found guilty, or will we just know it was a mistrial?
they usually do tell what the number of voters were that were leaning towards guilty and were leaning towards innocent, but I don't think they tell that until after like you can have 3 trials, so I think they try to hold off on releasing that. I
Okay.
think I'm not 100% positive, but I do know at some point that they do release it.
Yeah, Kim is writing in the comments, says, yeah, Tyler, we will know.
Yeah, and then I think like some of the jurors, usually they get, like, a lot of times the jurors end up writing books and on these cases, and so you can learn that way too.
Wow. So crazy.
Yeah. But I just wanted to put my 2 cents in there because I have a 10-year-old boy. Well, he's going to be 11. Next week he'll be 11, and I cannot even imagine him at 17 going and getting himself into that situation. Like, that's not okay. You're not going to walk out my door and go and get a weapon and go get yourself involved in that. To me, I guess I'm still thinking 17 years old, you need to be still focusing on school. And I don't know. It's a hard one.
Again, that goes back to some of those questions that I'm having. I'm like, I want to know the answers to this,
I would hate to be on that jury. That is very much a tough one. But I just hope that instead of prison, I hope that maybe it's like community service or, something of that nature, just to kind of, state a point. And then, so Travis Scott, I was listening to not your last caller, but the one before that. It was a man. And I just have to, sorry, Rob, but I just have to, I disagree. I don't think that drugs or alcohol is an excuse in this situation. I think that Travis Scott, the things that especially his girlfriend Kylie, but things that they're posting on social media, I think it's just kind of like rubbing things in people's faces. Like if I was him, I would not care how rich I was. I wouldn't care, it wouldn't matter. I would be all over the TV giving my biggest apologies.
Me too.
My heart would be broken.
Or distraught. One or the other. Or completely distraught. I couldn't do nothing.
Has he reached out to the families?
The statement from his press secretary, which I don't even understand how he has one, is that he's waiting for the families to sort of reach back out to him when they feel comfortable. But he's made himself available for when they want to talk to him.
Well, see, I just think even using a press secretary in itself is unemotional. It's unattached. Yeah. He needed to have his face on there showing sympathy and doing everything within his, possibilities to try to make this situation better somehow, some way. But you don't go get your press secretary. People lost their lives. You don't get your press secretary to go get on TV for you.
Your press secretary coaches you on what to say.
Yeah, I can see that, but he needs to have his face on TV.
It needs to be him.
I'm so angered over it. I'm very angered over it. And then I just wanted to say too, I am so glad that Noah is home.
Me too.
I'm not sure that I feel he was ever in any danger now. It just seemed like, I don't know all the details, but right now I'm kind of leaning more towards a dad who loved him because they said he was always a great dad, wanted to spend more time with him, who made a really, really bad decision. But now if that dad is having any kind of relations with that 16-year-old, then he needs to get shipped to SA Island, millions of miles away, and have MREs dropped to him for the rest of his life.
Which, you know, his mother, the fact that she couldn't deny it made me feel like it's probably true.
I'm thinking it is. Yeah, and that turns my stomach. Whew. Which leads me to what you were saying about the death penalty. I don't believe in the death penalty, but at the same time, I don't believe us taxpayers should pay.
Yeah.
You know, so that's why I think that we just need to get an island and put them all there together, and then
let
just
them all.
like,
You guys
send,
figure this out together, a bunch of weirdos.
yeah, send airplanes over to drop MRE packages, antibiotics, let them fight for it. I don't know. I don't know. But
hey, I have some super chats I want you to help me answer in just a second. Archer says, great show, by the way. You got to let the maid come in and clean the bed. Well, the maid came in today, and I said, go away. Deborah, thank you for that super sticker. Grandma Patty says, is it true that Rittenhouse mom gave him the gun? I looked this up on PolitiFact. It said not true.
Not true. He got it from his friend.
And then Renee says this question. Can someone answer this for me? Did Kyle shoot someone and then the others started attacking him to stop him, or were they trying to stop him because he was carrying an AR-15?
So the last one with Rosenbaum is the only one that I've really watched. And that one, it looked like, at one point, it looked like they were trying to take the gun from him. I don't know if their intention was to shoot him or just take it from him.
Right.
I just really couldn't tell because at one point I seen the guy put his hands up in the air, you know, like you do when you're being arrested, or what do you call that when you're
surrender.
When you get surrender, yeah. But the other one I don't know because I didn't see.
The thing that happened with, I don't know for sure. I don't want to speak wrong, but the way I understood it is there were some unclear circumstances that happened the first incident. And then after that, it felt like they were coming after him to try to get the gun. And it wouldn't have been unusual that a lot of people had, you know, it wouldn't have been unusual that a lot of people there had an AR-15. So they were not going after him to get the gun for that reason. I felt like they were going after him because he had shot the gun.
Right.
That's what it felt like to me.
But one thing concerning is the lies. So he was caught lying on the witness stand, and then it was proven that he was lying, saying he was a paramedic, he was a firefighter. I don't understand that.
I think it was a volunteer firefighter, but he was not, obviously not an EMT because you have to go to school for that. And he was 17. He's 17.
Oh, okay.
But maybe in his mind, he spoke what first responder and EMT were. You know, I could see that.
I have to ask you, do you actually use the sheets that the hotel provides? Because I always bring my own.
Well, I brought my own. Oh, I was going to bring my own, and then I was running out of room in my suitcase. So.
Oh, you have to have a whole nother suitcase for that, for your own towels, your sheets. Have you turned off the lights and take a blue light or whatever you call that? And
I'm too afraid to do that.
Ooh.
So,
we don't see Tyler. We don't see him this weekend. We'll come looking for you.
Something happened. Yeah, you know, I'm in hotels a lot. I spend a lot of time. Like, how many streams have I done from hotels? A lot.
Yeah,
so
I know.
It's just sort of like at this point, like I'm just used to whatever may be for me.
But Miami looks good on you. I mean, you look very happy, relaxed. You know, you have a different look tonight.
Different look. That's good.
Yeah. So I had a funny moment. I had a really funny moment today. So my oldest daughter, my 23-year-old, I was showing her pictures of your book and stuff because, you know, I ordered books for both of my daughters and my sister. My oldest daughter thinks that you are very attractive, and you two are not far apart in age. And then, let me tell you, then it dawned on me that if that were to happen, I could possibly be your mother-in-law. Do you know how long I laughed? I would be the coolest mother-in-law in the world, though.
The true crime diva.
Right, right. You'd love it. Yeah, I'm like, I think I'd be the coolest mother-in-law in the world.
By the way, I really appreciate the video you made today where it went over just the missing cases. It just was what it was. Here's the missing people. I thought that was a cool idea.
Yeah, I want to do that weekly, but I need you to teach me how to go back and update it now that Noah Clare's been found.
Oh, okay.
That
Yeah, we'll
works
talk.
for you.
I can tell you. You need to save the project, and then you'll just take out that one and put a new one in, or put a big thing on there that says found. Do a voiceover.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I'll be messaging you for help, but I'll wait till you're done with vacation.
Yep. Well, thanks, Avery, for calling in.
All righty. Well, I love y'all. Bye.
Debbie, how are you?
I love Avery. She is a pistol. And then
Yes.
the possibility of her being your mother-in-law just about shot me over the moon. I thought, wouldn't that be fun? Oh my goodness. And she's right. You look so well rested. You don't have those bags under your eyes, Tyler. That's good.
That's good.
That's a good
That
thing.
is good.
Yes.
I'm also using that same light I used before.
Oh, there it is.
It could be the trick, you know.
Well, I don't know if that's it, but I really do think you look much when you wake up in the morning. Do you feel better? Do you feel more well rested? Say that 10 times.
Well, I've only been here for a day, so I don't know.
So it
And it's
only been a day?
I got here last night, like late, just
Okay.
in time for the stream, and then now it's today. So
Well, anyhow, you look great, and I love the shirt.
thank you. It's my festive shirt.
Yes, it's thematic.
Yeah.
Well,
good.
I had a comment, a thought, I guess. Last night we were talking about how Kylie Jenner had, her family had started the church in California, or not started it, but supported it and was financially supportive. And it got me to thinking about all of the different entertainers whose origin is a Christian background with, they've sung in the church, they've done different things. And I wondered if this Tyler boy,
Travis?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes. I don't know why I have a hard time with his name, but I do. It really, I don't know. It's just nauseating to me. But anyway, I just wonder if Travis Scott had a type of background like that too, a Christian background. I don't know.
I tried to research that and I couldn't figure it out.
Okay. Well, I don't know, but he's got to have a mama and a grandmama that has influenced him in some way, and I think about Paul in Romans, but it was a little bit different because he was, a Jew, and he was killing Christians because of their faith. So he was doing it in God's honor. But I can't help but think that people that, when they have a Christian background and they go to the far end of the continuum, have got to swing back and come back to Jesus. That's my, I guess, ultimate hope.
Yeah, mine too.
And I would hope that he would realize and turn that around. Corn. Do you remember the guy?
Yeah, Brian Head Welch.
Brian Head Welch. I actually have a painting of a friend of mine did it, and he used his face as a face of Jesus. Everything's packed up, or I'd just show you right now. 8 more days and I'm gone. But anyway, I'll try it once I get unpacked in about a month or so. I'll send you that picture that my friend did. And when you look at that, and if you see Jesus's face, but then you also see Brian Welch's face. And I can't help but think, that's Jesus in us. And that this could certainly turn, and what's his name? Travis could be as influential as he is now. He could also be that influential in a positive way. And that's really all I have to say.
Well, thank you, Debbie, for calling in.
You're welcome.
Have a good evening.
You enjoy your vacation.
I'm going to try.
Okay.
And pray for no rain. Bye. Kim, how are you?
Oh, I'm pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for calling in.
I don't know if you'll be saying that in a minute. No, I'm just kidding. I'm reading the chat, as I always do. And first of all, let me say that when the Rittenhouse trial first started, I didn't know really how I felt. So I watched the trial and gathered the facts as they were presented. And I still honestly don't completely know how I would, rule if I were on the jury. Thank goodness I'm not. That's a tough role
Yeah.
I think these people have to play right now. But a couple of things I'm seeing in the chat that are just plain wrong that I just want to address real quick, because I would hate people to say or to see our chat and think that we're spreading misinformation. So
Right.
A couple of things that I just want to clarify for those. You can tell there's a lot of people that have not watched the trial or that didn't watch every day. So a few things. One of the things that kind of started to sway my opinion a little bit is Kyle has done training as an EMT. He did training as a volunteer fireman. He was a cadet. So this is a kid who did not just randomly decide that he was going to show up in Kenosha and deal with the protesters. This is a kid who had decided that he was going to spend his career in some sort of community service and had tried kind of all of them on. He had gone through training programs with all of those three. So it's pretty clear that at least in the beginning, at some point, his goal was, I believe, to protect a city that he did have his father was from. So he was not just randomly showing up in Kenosha either, but he was going to protect a city, I believe, that he felt was not being protected by the local authorities. And that came out in the trial. So, that's one of the things I think some of us are getting wrong, is why he was there and what his ultimate or initial goal was. And then the other thing was he was part of a group that was asked to come help protect certain areas. So again, it wasn't just, I'm going to get in my car and I'm going to go be this vigilante. Now, does protecting a city from protesters, does that authorize you to use lethal force? That's the question that kept going through my mind as I was listening to the trial. However, I think he truly did believe that his life was, in jeopardy. Now, again, does that authorize you? I don't know. Like I said, I'm glad I'm not on the trial or on the jury.
I'm glad I'm not on the jury too.
I really am, but I just think we need to make sure that we're not, there's people saying he didn't have to take a gun though. In some ways I agree with that. In some ways, okay, so let me ask you, if someone is attacking you, 3 men are attacking you, how do you protect yourself, one person against 3? And this is where the question of self-defense becomes a question for me. When does it get to the point where, do we have to die to not defend ourselves? Do we have to submit to severe bodily harm to not defend ourselves? I think these are the big questions that are going to be likely decided by this case to some extent, because there comes a point when sometimes you're going to have to make that decision, or you could have to make that decision, I guess. But that's just kind of the things that go on in my head. in terms of this case is I don't think it's as cut and dry either way as we might want to. It would be easy. I mean, obviously, if it was cut and dry either way, right? We'd
Oh,
have
if it was cut and dry, it's not. And this is, and I think a lot of it is going to be in the matter of opinion. And I know, like, they're going to, that's sort of the article that I read at the beginning. They were saying, like, well, let's pull out the conversation that we're having about some of this legal jargon and try to get these jurors to understand it and then weigh that above whatever their personal opinions may be in this. And I think it's going to be one of those situations where it's going to be really hard not to go off of their own personal opinion of what they think based on what you're saying.
Absolutely. And that's kind of, I guess, the point I'm trying to make is there's so much subjectivity here because a lot of it depends on how you think you would have reacted if you thought your life was in danger, if he thought his life was in danger, whether or not you believe the motivation he had for going there, whether or not, I mean, there's so many questions there. And I really, this judge, I've sort of along the way been kind of proud of him for like standing up to, what seemed to be some prosecutorial misconduct. However, I think he's taken the easy way out I was going to just clarify. He has said that he will not rule on a mistrial until the jury delivers their verdict, which means we will know the verdict before he determines whether or not there would be a mistrial.
Yeah.
Then he has the choice to do it with prejudice, meaning he can't be retried, or without prejudice, meaning it can be retried again. And I think that's taken the I don't want to say coward. I don't want to call a judge a coward. I think that's taking the easy way out because he's hoping that the jury will do this for him. Because I think if you go strictly on the law and don't go on emotion, because again, I don't want everybody to flame me. I'm conflicted over this, but I think if you go strictly by the law, it would be ruled self-defense. However, I agree, there's many questions. Why did he have a gun? Should he have had a gun? There's so many of those questions. But I think the judge knows what the verdict should be, and he's hoping that the jury will deliver it. But if they don't, I believe he's going to declare a mistrial because of the prosecutorial misconduct. And I think that's going to be worse than anything else.
Especially if he's determined guilty and then it's a mistrial like that.
Right.
Is insane. And so if I understand it correctly, he will announce publicly if it's a mistrial or not 1 hour before they announce the results. Did I understand that correctly?
Oh no, I understood it that they were going to announce the results and then he would determine.
Oh.
Yeah, that he's going to he wants the jury to deliver their verdict, and once the jury delivers their verdict, he will then decide whether or not he's going to declare a mistrial.
Okay.
Now I'm watching from the chat to see if I'm wrong, but that's what I heard. That's what I heard. So I think that this case is going to be big for the whole stand your ground. I mean, that's the law that we're talking about here is the stand your ground law. And whether or not self-defense is a defense. And I mean, because there are so many variables to it, I mean, what was it? The McCluskeys, that got arrested for pulling guns on people that were on their property because they didn't have the stand your ground law. Was that correct, Keith? But then, eventually it got overturned, but there were people on their property, that in Georgia, that's considered a threat and you have the right to use deadly force.
Yeah, with the George Floyd protest in St. Louis, they had pointed their firearms from their yard, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm. At people that were in their yard. They were on their property. So, there's just a lot of cases, it seems like, that are, for one, we haven't really been talking about is the Ahmaud Arbery. I think that's a totally different situation.
Yes.
And that one, I'm afraid, I'm really afraid, since that one's kind of close to home. I'm really kind of afraid of that one because, my personal opinion on that one is that even if he was stealing from the property, he didn't deserve to die at the hands of non-law personnel, so I think if for some reason they are found not guilty, I think Georgia's going to be in a world of hurt.
Mhm. Avery says Kim's right. Judge can hold entering verdict while deciding on motions for mistrial, and there's currently 2. Right? They requested 2 different mistrials.
Yep.
Wow.
So
Kim, you're always so insightful and full of knowledge and wisdom. So I really appreciate you.
Yeah. I just, and then the last thing I want to add real quick about the Travis Scott case is I sent you the link. I think you would really love some time to watch that video. Maybe we can watch it one night. I was wrong about the physicists that did the water experiments, but the basis of the water experiments, and it's a 2-minute video I sent you, is that they took water and they crystallized it. They spoke negatively to one of the groups of water. I know this sounds ridiculous, but this is based on physics. And then on the other group of water, they, talked about God. They prayed to the water. They told the water, they talked basically in gratitude. They also played, classical uplifting music to the one group of water, and they played heavy metal to the other group of water. The water crystallized differently. The water that was spoken to nicely had the classical music, created these beautiful, smooth, perfect crystals, kind of like snowflakes. The water that had the heavy metal and that had the insults and all these things formed these real angry crystals. And so the premise of that is that we are so much water, and I can't remember if it's 97 or 98%, but that human beings are composed of so much water that we're literally changing our cellular resonance and then creating dissonance in the case of negativity by the things we hear and the things we say and the things we hear said. And this was a physics-based experiment. So it's really, really cool. So yeah, maybe I'll shut up and let you watch the video because it's really, really neat. But anyway, that's all I wanted to say, is that I think the frequencies that so many of his fans are talking about maybe might not be demonic, but definitely we're not good. We're not a good influence on people.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that really cool that after prayer, that's what the water looked like when it froze versus before prayer. It's just amazing. That this whole experiment's amazing.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that. I'll definitely check it out.
All right. Yeah, everybody's saying, yeah, let's watch it. But anyway, all right. Thanks, Tyler. Have a good night.
Thanks for calling in. I'm running low on time tonight, guys. Martha, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing all right.
Good. I called in to say something else, but first I want to say I just want to thank Kim for addressing some of what was being said in the chat. That's much appreciated. And since Kim mentioned the Arbery case, I'm in Douglas and I'm only about an hour from Brunswick. And, I have to agree with her that, if this case, if they're found not guilty, well, I really think that we are in a world of hurt here. It's interesting. The homeowner is from Douglas, I believe. I don't know if they actually moved into the home or even finished building the home, but that's, I don't know him personally. I know people who know him, but I don't know him at all. But
I don't know. I don't know basically anything about that case because we've spent so much time talking about these other cases.
Yeah, I mean, this happened, I think in February of last year, and
Oh, okay.
I guess the reason, it stood out to me was because it was just right down the road.
Yeah.
And I think
Well,
some of
that
his
makes sense.
family may live here in this area or in South Georgia. But I just want to say, Tyler, I just want to thank you for starting this stream and the Feller Fam on Facebook. We are growing, and it's exciting. We have great conversations. I mean, very interesting. I have learned so much just by reading the comments and interacting. It's just it's really an awesome family. So I just want to thank you for that.
Well, thank you for being a part of it. And you're one of the admins on our Feller Fam Facebook group. And so if anybody's a part of the Feller Fam, once you guys join and you go to the membership tab or the community tab of the YouTube channel, once you're a Feller Fam member, there'll be a link there, and that will send you, if you have Facebook, it will send you to our Facebook page. And like she's saying, there's all kinds of great conversations that happen there. Plus, for all the people that are on the Feller Fam, you get special emojis. Let me see your favorite emoji down there in the chat. I'd love to see it. But thank you, Martha. Thank you for calling in today, and I appreciate you.
Thank you, Tyler. And I love the shirt, and you look really good. You look healthy.
Yeah.
So
well, thank
enjoy
you.
your time in Florida with your family.
Yeah. Thank you. We're trying.
Bye.
It was really rainy today, but thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Hey, Patricia, how are you?
Well, hi, Tyler. I'm doing just great. And I'm praying that it'll be sunshine for you the rest of your trip.
Yeah, me too.
You know, I know that you want to get going there. And, you know, I realized that you're 3 hours ahead of me. I'm on the West Coast, and it's almost 11 o'clock at night for you. So I'll make it very brief. First of all, just kind of reiterating about the trial, the Rittenhouse trial. As I was saying before on another chat, another stream, all comes down to looking at the evidence and what the law actually says specifically about the case. That's how and I told you before, I went in with other jurors on a case that I was involved with, and a lot of opinion, speculation, but what it came down to is go back and review all of the, you know, the evidence, and also be sure to stick with the law. And that's how I'm hoping and praying that this jury will be able to come to some kind of a decision. We'll have to wait and see. The other thing is that I'm just so thankful that you posted about Noah and Amber being found. I didn't even realize that I've had a lot of different things I've had going on today. Didn't even have a chance to get an update. So I'm thankful that you showed that. And one of the things that was mentioned, I was looking at a quick report before you actually came on the door. I was looking at your description box, and you said that they'd been found. And they said that the woman who called the police in California, she said it was because of social media, what she had seen and read on social media. And I thought, wow, you know, if we want to be a part of maybe solving cases, just let's keep being proactive. I love the fact that the petition was started. And we see so many people signing that petition. Where a couple
what we do makes a difference, and it matters. So let me see.
Really
we're up to 3,205 people who've signed that petition, which is astounding. So just unbelievable.
That is just so wonderful. You know, I just hope that Pastor Landry is kept abreast of what's going on with the petition, and I just hope and pray
he
that
posted it on their page earlier. So
oh good. Well, listen, Tyler, I think it's probably time for you to get some rest. I won't keep you, but thank you so much for being on here. Just love everybody here on the Feller Fam. You guys have a great night.
Thank you, Patricia.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Sin70, thank you for that super chat. You say lawyers have instructed Scott not to apologize. It's a sign of guilt. Even the black and white video was legally orchestrated not to be colorful. I didn't realize that. I'll look into that. Hey, I want to shout out to and thank you for that super chat. I want to shout out everybody who has left a rating so far. Cindy's left a rating right here. Amazing. Andy, thank you for your rating and your review. Diane, James, thank you guys. Nancy left a review. Linda B's left a review. Thank you guys so much for leaving these reviews. And one of the things I wanted to say, Anita, Pammy B, thank you for leaving a review. Linda B, thank you for leaving a review. I wanted to say this about those of you who've left reviews. NSB, Latrice, Rick, which I think is Amy, thank you for leaving a review. Martha, there's Martha's review. Megan's review. Jessica's review. Pamela Bradley's review. I wanted to say this. Rose wrote a review on the 16th, and it didn't show up until today. So somebody was telling me, like, it depends on how much money you've spent on Amazon. That's how much, like, time or whatever it takes for your review to show up. So some of you guys, you've left reviews and it hasn't posted yet. It might be due to how much money you spent on Amazon in a given month or whatever. And so I would just say thank you to everybody who's left a review. And by the way, tomorrow is an important day around here. It's Faith Friday on the channel, which is, in my opinion, probably the most important day that we have on this channel. And so what I need you guys to do is everything you can in your ability to get all your friends to show up and be a part. Can you get your friends to show up and be a part of the stream tomorrow? And some of you guys have prayer requests and things you're concerned about, and we're going to take it to the Lord tomorrow. And so looking forward to that. Hey, let me pray over you guys tonight, and then we're going to end the stream. So, Father, in the mighty name of Jesus, I thank you for everybody who's on the stream tonight. I pray you bless them with your power, your grace, your strength, your hope, your love. And anybody who's on the stream tonight who has a difficult situation in their family, right now, I just pray supernatural peace and restoration to come to that. And Father, anybody who has something broken in their body, I pray the great physician comes and provides total healing to their body. Prepare us tomorrow for Faith Friday, Jesus. Anoint our time. Speak to us already about what you're going to do. And I pray for every family who has somebody that's missing in it, that you would give them peace and answers. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you guys for being with us. We'll see you tomorrow.